For most of human history, we were not alone. Long before cities, before agriculture, before names were written into stone, another kind of human walked the same valleys we now call Europe and Western Asia. They moved through forests weighed down by snow, crossed frozen rivers, and followed herds across landscapes shaped by ice and wind. For more than 300,000 years, Neanderthals endured a world that was often cruel and rarely stable. They survived repeated ice ages, violent climate swings, and predators that no longer exist. And yet, despite that resilience, they disappeared. When Neanderthals vanished around 40,000 years ago, the Earth did not collapse. The sun still rose. The ice still advanced and retreated. But something essential was lost. A branch of humanity ended, leaving behind only stone tools, scattered bones, and unanswered questions. Today, those questions have become more unsettling than ever, because the closer we look, the harder it becomes to ignore a troubling possibility, that their extinction was not simply a natural accident of climate or fate, but something intertwined with us. To understand how Neanderthals disappeared, we must first understand who they truly were. Neanderthals were not crude, half-formed humans struggling toward intelligence. Their brains were as large as ours, sometimes larger. Their bodies were compact and muscular, shaped by evolution to conserve heat in cold environments. Broad noses warmed freezing air before it reached their lungs, and powerful limbs allowed them to wrestle massive prey at close range. This was a species built not for comfort, but for survival. Archaeology reveals a people capable of planning and care. Neanderthals crafted sophisticated stone tools designed for specific tasks. They controlled fire and returned to the same camps year after year. In several sites, their dead were deliberately placed into the ground, sometimes accompanied by animal bones or flowers. In Shanidar Cave, the remains of an injured Neanderthal show that he lived for years missing an arm, partially blind and unable to hunt. He survived because others fed him, protected him, and kept him alive. This was not instinct alone. This was social care. For hundreds of thousands of years, Neanderthals thrived within a delicate balance. Their populations were small, spread thinly across vast territories. Each group knew its land intimately. They understood the movement of animals, the shelter of caves, and the seasonal rhythms of their world. But that world began to change in ways even they could not fully adapt to. Between 70,000 and 40,000 years ago, the climate became increasingly unstable. This was not a single ice age, but a series of rapid and violent fluctuations. Forests vanished, replaced by open steppe. Then forests returned, only to collapse again. Animals migrated unpredictably. Entire ecosystems shifted within a few generations. Neanderthals had survived cold before, but this instability attacked the foundations of their survival. Their hunting strategies relied on familiarity and predictability. As prey became scarce or erratic, each failure carried greater consequences. Still, climate alone cannot explain their disappearance. Neanderthals had endured earlier climatic disasters, some just as severe. They adapted, endured, and recovered. Something else changed during this final chapter of their existence. Around 45,000 years ago, modern humans arrived in Neanderthal territory. Homo sapiens did not emerge from Africa as a single wave, but as a steady expansion. When they entered Europe and Western Asia, they encountered landscapes already occupied by another human species. This meeting was not marked by an immediate collapse or violent conquest. Instead, it unfolded slowly, quietly, and relentlessly. Modern humans brought with them a different way of surviving. Their tools were lighter and more versatile. Their weapons allowed them to kill from a distance, reducing injury and risk. More importantly, they lived within wider social networks. Groups were connected across large regions, sharing knowledge, resources, and mates. If one band failed, another could replace it. Neanderthals did not have this advantage. Their populations were isolated, their numbers low. When disaster struck one group, there was often no reinforcement, no recovery. As humans spread, competition emerged, not necessarily through open violence, but through presence. Humans and Neanderthals hunted the same animals, sought the same shelters, and relied on the same landscapes. Over time, humans increasingly occupied prime locations. Caves that once sheltered Neanderthals show signs of human occupation, layered directly above Neanderthal remains. Fire pits overlap. Tools replace tools. This was not war as we imagine it. It was something quieter and more destructive. It was displacement. Every generation of humans expanded slightly further. Every generation of Neanderthals found their world shrinking. Game became harder to find. Territories overlapped. Survival margins narrowed. Even small disadvantages, repeated over centuries, can doom a species already living close to the edge. Yet extinction did not happen through replacement alone. Genetic evidence reveals a far more intimate and complex story. Neanderthals and modern humans interbred. This was not rare or accidental. It happened repeatedly across thousands of years. Today, nearly all non-African humans carry Neanderthal DNA within their genomes. Traits affecting immunity, metabolism, and even pain perception can be traced back to these ancient encounters. But interbreeding came at a cost. Neanderthal populations were already small. When individuals joined larger human groups, their genes survived, but their culture, identity, and communities did not. Over time, Neanderthals did not vanish completely. They were absorbed. Meanwhile, those who remained isolated faced another danger: genetic collapse. Studies of late Neanderthal DNA show alarming levels of inbreeding. Parents related as closely as siblings produced children who carried harmful mutations. Fertility declined. Infant mortality rose. Each generation became more fragile than the last. The final Neanderthals retreated to the margins of their world. Southern Europe, mountain caves, coastal refuges. These were not places of strength, but of last survival. Archaeological layers grow thinner. Tools become fewer. Signs of occupation fade. And then, without ceremony, they are gone. No final catastrophe marks their end. No sudden extinction event. Only silence. The disappearance of Neanderthals forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Humans did not need to intend harm to cause it. Expansion, competition, and adaptation were enough. The same qualities that allowed modern humans to thrive ensured that those who could not keep pace would be left behind. Neanderthals were not weak. They were not inferior. They were simply human in a world that no longer favored them. Their extinction may have been inevitable once our paths crossed, but inevitability does not absolve responsibility. Neanderthals were the first human species to vanish in our shadow. They would not be the last. Today, their bones lie buried beneath our feet, but their legacy lives on inside us. In our immune systems, in our adaptations to cold, in the deep history written into our DNA. They are gone, but not forgotten. And as we reshape the planet at a speed unmatched in Earth's history, their story stands as a warning carved into stone and ice. A reminder that survival is not always about strength, but about timing. That extinction does not always arrive with violence. Sometimes it comes quietly, carried on the footsteps of those who replace you. In the end, the Neanderthals did not lose the world to nature. They lost it to us.